Hey, Namaskar. Once again, welcome back to another Instagram live with the Sunday podcast series with Nirav. और आज मेरे साथ में एक और गेस्ट है जो एक अलग ही इंडस्ट्री से है, पर अगेन शी इज़ ऑल्सो कनेक्टेड विद द मेंटल हेल्थ थीम, क्योंकि ये पूरा साल मतलब फॉर 52 weeks आई वांट टू कनेक्ट मोर विद द ऑकल साइंस एंड मेंटल हेल्थ. जितना ज़्यादा हो सकता है उतना मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर मुझे ज़्यादा बोलना है, क्योंकि वो एक चीज़ें हैं हाई रहना, तो उस पर मैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा चीज़ें कनेक्ट करना चाहता हूँ. तो आज के हमारे स्पीकर हैं रैना खत्री टंडन. ओके, एंड शी विल बी स्पीकिंग ऑन द ह्यूमन राइट एंड ऑल्सो ऑन द पॉस. Our guest, that is the Raina, she is into the PoSH area as well as she is the consultant and trainer. So without wasting the time, I'm just introducing her on my PoSH. अभी आप आई थिंक आप आ जाओगे. या जस्ट गिव मी 2 minutes. आई थिंक आपको आना तो चाहिए मेरे 5 minutes. हाँ, मैंने आपको इनवाइट भेज दिया है रैना. या
Hello
सो
friends, how are
फाइनली
you? Yeah. Good
हेलो.
morning, Nirav ji.
या गुड मॉर्निंग. आपका ये पॉज हो गया था. हाँ, अब ठीक है. मीन्स for the few seconds it was paused.
Yeah,
Ajam.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was just giving a small introduction to the audience then when what you are into, because what I know from the social connection you are more into the human rights as well as a PoSH trainer also. जो कि PoSH trainer मुझे तो सच बताओ तो मुझे वो मी टू मूवमेंट के बाद ही पता चला ये सारी चीजें होती है. बिकॉज आई डू नॉट नो
Yeah.
बिफोर दैट कि ये क्या होता है और मी टू भी क्या होती है मुझे बाद में पता चला. सो इट्स अ वेरी सेंसिटिव एंड वेरी डीपर टॉपिक. तो इसलिए मैंने अपने ऑडियंस के लिए भी एक चूज और आपने स्वयं यही टॉपिक भी मुझे बताया जो कि काफी रेलेवेंट भी है सबके लिए आज के टाइम में. तो before we start the actual questioning, Raina, can you just give your short introduction to my audience and what exactly you're into, and just a small introduction, then I will start with the main content.
Yeah. So good morning everybody and good morning lovely viewers of both Nirav ji and me. Happy कि आप लोग इधर join हुए. Very interestingly, we are going to be talking about lot of issues which are on social sector. So we will be addressing PoSH, we will be addressing sectors of POXO, we'll be addressing human rights and many other areas. Now, I am Dr.Raina Tandon, founder CEO of Right to Rise. Right to Rise एक कंपनी है जो आप ट्रेनिंग्स कंप्लायंस चाहे वो स्कूल हो कॉलेज हो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो any unorganized sector ho, we are generally working towards creating safety for workplaces. So if you are at school
Okay.
and institutions, then yes, we are looking at how the different dossiers can be created so that safety can be imparted. बहुत बार हम लोग situations देखते हैं जहाँ पे हमें पता ही नहीं होता कि safety is a priority, rights are the broader spectrum. So today we will see that. Apart from that, I'm also a 3-time TEDx speaker, and I empower many people who are suffering from a lot of abuse, harassment, any kind of violence that is undergoing at workplace. So we are working into legal rights. It could vary from cross-cultural to probably gender sensitivity and many more. It is important that when we speak of safety, safety is a 360 degrees approach. So just facing certain documents, we don't become safe, we don't become vigilant. The rationale has to involve. हमें काफी बार ये देखना होता है कि क्या क्या चीजें वो हैं जिससे हमारी सेफ्टी को empowerment नहीं मिला. What could be deeply involved. So that is what we are going to see in the whole talk today with Nirav ji. So yes, over to Nirav ji.
Yeah. So the first question, let's start with the podcast first question, which I usually ask to all my speaker guests, that how you come on, how you become the passionate for advocating the rights of humans, and especially into the PoSH area, how you get involved. What it was a predestined or some incident which incline you toward this area कि मुझे इस पर काम करना चाहिए.
So I think आपने काफी लोगों को देखा होगा. I will start using Hindi and English. because
Yeah.
we have varied audience who are coming from both our channels and वो लोग दोनों
अच्छा
languages use करते हैं. ऐसे
ठीक है.
जरूरी नहीं है कि आप उस चीज को झेल चुके हो या उस चीज से गुजर चुके हो उसके लिए आप वो चीज से पैशनेट हो. I think we come from
बरोबर.
that space where women are already empowered and now they are planning to create a society where all genders work together to understand what are the problems and the solutions towards it. So जब मुझे लोग पूछते हैं कि क्या आपके साथ ऐसे कुछ हुआ था या आपने कोई इंसिडेंट देखा था या किस वजह से आप इतने स्ट्रांगली उसकी तरफ इंक्लाइन हुए थे, तो मैं यही बोलती हूँ कि इंक्लाइन होने के लिए एक पैशन होना चाहिए,
ओके.
दूसरा यू शुड हैव द एक्सपर्टीज, तो आपकी नॉलेज होनी चाहिए, तीसरा यू शुड हैव द स्किल्स टू टेक इट अहेड बिकॉज यू कैन नॉट टॉक एनीथिंग एंड एवरीथिंग टू चेंज पीपल्स लाइफ. तो अगर आप बोलते हो कि आप उस एरिया में काम करते हो, स्पेशलिस्ट हो, आई डोंट प्रॉब्ली यूज द वर्ड्स मेंटर कोच बिकॉज वो एक दूसरा ही दर्जा है जहाँ पे हमें अपनी एक्सपर्टीज को दिखाना होता है कि वी हैव क्वालिफाइड एंड क्रॉस दैट. So yes, we are specialized interventionists, specialized advocates. We help to understand कि problem कहाँ से आता है and where we are going. Why so passionate about this is because during the course of my work, many times when we come across people around you and there's already, they are in pain, they are coming up and seeking solutions, then they already have given you that pedestal of being an interventionist, a specialist, a coach, a mentor towards it. So there are various solutions that we've given at schools and colleges. There are various solutions that we've given a different age group of more than 35 years. ऐसे हो सकता है कोई सुशील, कोई रवि, कोई राज आके आपको बोले कि भाई मेरे साथ ये हो रहा है, ये कॉलेज में, ये कंपनी में मेरे साथ एक महिला ऐसे दुर्घटना घट रही है जहां से मुझे सेक्सुअल फेवर्स देके अपना काम निकलवाना पड़े या प्रमोशन करवाना पड़े या अपनी जॉब जो परमानेंट नहीं है उसको परमानेंट किया जाए. So when you are seeing these kind of unwanted, unwelcomed and sexual favors, you will see people who are finding your solutions very, very appropriate, and that only gives you the next path that you are meant to do. We started with doing lots of areas of sexual abuse and harassment, then went ahead to do support towards children because we all have children around us today, and children are the next youth of generation. As much as we say AI is the next new era, we have to understand that AI will not exist if people don't exist, right? We are not going to be only living with robots around us. So same way, if we have children and if you want them to excel along with parenting, along with support, along with counseling, you also have to allow them to get safety solutions. So that is where we are collaborating with a lot of people who are working in the areas of maybe a counseling, maybe a psychologist, maybe a clinical psychologist, maybe people with mental health, abuse, addiction, साइबर सेफ्टी. सो आज हम साइबर सेफ्टी में एक लेवल तक अवेयरनेस देते हैं और उसके बाद जो लीड स्पेशलिस्ट.
मुझे लगता है रायना आपकी तरफ से नेट का थोड़ा इश्यू आ गया लगता है.
जी, थैंक यू वैजनाथ जी, सनद्य, ज्योति मैम, हितेश जी, प्रकाश जी, काउंसलर ज्योति, चौहान जी, दीपक जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच. सो यस, वेलकम बैक नीरव. यस,
हाँ, वो थोड़ा मुझे लगता है नेट का इश्यू आ गया होगा
नो
यहाँ पे.
प्रॉब्लम
या
सर.
the another question, Raina ji, as we talk about the human rights, so how we can define what is the human right? Human right actual में क्या है, हम लोग कई लोगों को पता ही नहीं होता कि इसकी व्याख्या क्या है. What is the definition as per the people who are into this field? So आप इस पर थोड़ा प्रकाश डालिए. And how they are connected with the current scenario.
अगर मैं एक नाम यस अगर एक आम इंसान को हम पूछे कि ह्यूमन राइट्स होता क्या है, right? If I ask you, if I ask maybe any one of the people who are here, okay, what is human rights? Say we can see Karthik ji, Jamisha ji, Rana ji, they say human rights is rights given to human. As simple as
Yeah.
that, right?
True.
Now these
Right.
rights can be varied. एक हमारे पास एक लीगल राइट होता है, एक हमारे पास एक वैल्यूज के बेसिस पे राइट होता है, एक हमारे पास एक चॉइस होती है इन कॉन्ग्रुएंस टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग द वॉइस दैट वी हैव, राइट? We need to
Right.
have freedom of voice, freedom of religion, freedom of making the choice of our life, right to dignity, right to respect, and also right to breathe the air that we get, the purity of air.
True.
That is the latest right that we have, the right to live with purity of air. And many people feel कि जो rights हैं वो सिर्फ bookish है.
हाँ, ये बात भी
But
सही
today
है.
when we go
वो
abroad,
किस ज्यादा.
if we go abroad and we are doing study abroad options, we are sending our children across borders. The first thing that we need to teach them is how to be safe, how to speak out, how to use the voice of our freedom that has been given, how exactly a cross-cultural sensitization will work, or how exactly you need to be more open to speaking up with all the laws that the land is providing. What is the safety measures India gives you when you go across? So rights merge with legal rights, and human rights are rights given to every human. So we have a list of
True.
human rights that are given to us, and we can just Google them out and see they are also working with our mental, with our spiritual, with our self-transitional, with our professional, physical and financial, with family. Okay, and if we
Okay.
look at it, it will give right of freedom, right of speech, right of religion, right of life, and many more. Okay, and one of the
True.
right is obviously SDG goals, gender equality, and right to choosing what kind of profession, and many more. So
Right.
rights are basically in our life. It's just that we don't realize that they are basically the foundation to everything that we do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Rana, one more question. You've been a PoSH trainer, so what are the key challenges comes in your
Yeah.
area, ensuring that the human rights are protected, especially into the work zone and into the societal status?
Right. So when we are working with the PoSH is nothing but prevention of sexual harassment. Wherever we go, there can be somebody who can encroach into your space. And today we hear children saying, Mama, we want freedom.
Yeah,
Right? Whether you
exactly.
ask a 5-year-old today, वो उठ के बोलता है मुझे freedom चाहिए. और यही वर्ड फ्रीडम आप 20 साल के बेटे को भी पूछोगे, आप एक बड़ी लड़की को भी पूछोगे, आप एक महिला को भी सुनोगे, आप एक आदमी को भी पूछोगे when he goes to a workplace, why don't we get freedom from this? Whether it is any
Exactly.
area that they look at, right? So abuse,
Right.
harassment, unwanted approaches, demand or request of sexual favors, any kind of pornography, any kind of sexually colored remarks. ये अलग अलग चीजें हैं, भिन्न भिन्न चीजें हैं जो sexual harassment में आती है. When we define
Okay.
sexual harassment as per section 2.2n of the law, we say anything direct, indirect, implied, explicit. अगर एक आदमी कंप्यूटर पे भी बैठता है और उसकी आंखों ही आंखों से उसने इशारे कर दिए जिससे दूसरी महिला, दूसरी लेडी, she feels very unwanted and very offended. Even that is considered sexual harassment. But look
Okay.
at the
Okay.
rights behind it. The rights behind it is please use the freedom of voice, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, but use it within a particular zone. एक दायरे के अंदर. When we say no means no, when we say draw the lines of what can be said and what cannot be said at workplace, we are given the freedom. But there is a choice of freedom of how much can it be implied at workplace or at personal space. So that is
Exactly.
for every one of us to understand with every right that is given by constitution. We need to understand how much of it can be used and where and what.
True. Rana, one more question arriving from these areas because recently one
Yes.
of my colleagues, she's a lady, she's working in a big MNC, Okay, I won't name the company, but there is a
Yes.
lots of harassment. The mental harassment is going on, and she complained to the upper management that because the person itself is on a top management guy at the CXO level. But again, after some just formal interrogations, the file has been kept closed. So in that case, now the employee is feeling threatened कि क्या मेरी नौकरी रहेगी या मुझे निकाल दिया जाएगा नीरव. ठीक है क्या अभी नेक्स्ट क्या पॉलिटिक्स मेरे साथ में होगी. देन द मैनेजमेंट स्टार्ट इन्फ्लुएंसिंग ऑन अ नेगेटिव पर्सपेक्टिव कि देखो आपका ये ठीक से नहीं चल रहा, आपका परफॉर्मेंस ठीक से नहीं चल रहा, आपका ये नहीं चल रहा है, यू आर नॉट वर्किंग वेरी वेल, यू आर नॉट अप टू द डेट इन दिस एरियाज. In such type of area, when there is a mental harassment, not a sexual, but this mental harassment is equivalent to a सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट आई कंसिडर, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रेस देता है एम्प्लॉइज को. और यहाँ तो मैं लिटरली देख रहा हूँ. तो इनफैक्ट टू बी ऑनेस्ट, मैंने उनको पहले मना किया था कि यू डू नॉट पुट डाउन डाउन अ वेरी लॉन्ग ऐसे ईमेल मेकिंग द नेगेटिव कॉन्वर्सेशन ऑफ ऑल द 3 to 4 पीपल. उन्होंने डालने से पहले मुझे पूछा था. आई टोल्ड नो नॉट टू पुट डाउन सच ईमेल बिकॉज देयर इज एथिक्स इन ईमेल मार्केटिंग और इनटू द ऑफिशियल ईमेल. वन शुड नॉट अब्यूज द पीपल, कम्युनिटी और रेसिज्म और इंडिविजुअल. उन्होंने डाल दिया, उसके बाद ये चीजें स्टार्ट हो गई. तो इन दिस एरिया, इन दिस केस, हाउ यू यू कंसिडर कि क्या एक एम्प्लॉय को कभी अपना मुंह खोलना चाहिए कि इतनी मेंटल हेरेसमेंट हो रही है जॉब पर?
Uh, See, we all know that we have rights. We all know we have been given certain duties, certain values. We are following certain norms of the HR when we are working in a setup. If I have to tell you, if you start working with Right to Rise today, you will be asked to sign a contract and formally follow all the legal provisions and legal rights given to you, right? Whether you are
Right.
working as an intern or whether you are working as a employee, there has to be a system in place. The system in
True.
place, you cannot just have this right. Now, when you're talking about sexual harassment and mental harassment, sexual harassment is defined as something which is unwanted, unwelcomed, subjective. That means if it is happening with either Miss Manisha or either Miss Sheetal or me, either Miss Mohana or either Miss Neeta or somebody, one name, it is subjected to that person. Only that person, time and again, you are going and hitting on, right?
True.
That's the word. So
Yeah.
if you
Right.
are constantly having somebody doing this, of course it is sexual harassment. But mental harassment is something that comes under the HR policies. It doesn't come
Okay.
under PoSH. So
Okay.
HR will take care of mental harassment, religious harassment, bias-free harassment, harassment that's happening maybe through some other forms. Maybe if you just call you're good for nothing, you don't really know your job, you keep doing things which are wrong, following somebody, arguing with somebody, always putting your leg up and making them feel small, making them feel petty. So these are forms of mental harassment, including penalizing somebody for something that they are not responsible for. So
Okay.
when we deal with mental harassment, we are not in the periphery of PoSH. We can
Okay.
still say, hey, we have rights, and according to rights, we are doing this. But when you are in a system, like if you come into a school or an organization, you just can't talk about your rights. You have to also follow what they have set up, because if we go with that system, we'll be following a particular format. We just can't follow. So suppose today a company tells you you have to wear this outfit. You have a uniform. You can't say, hey, I don't like the uniform. I'm going to come only in kurta pajama because I'm comfortable.
True.
राइट आप कुर्ता पैजामा में ऑफकोर्स कंफर्टेबल हैं, लेकिन हर एक इंसान जो कंपनी में आता है वो वही यूनिफॉर्म पहनता है, एक उसकी सेफ्टी के लिए, एक उसकी सिक्योरिटी के लिए, एक यूनिफॉर्मिटी के लिए कि हम ये कंपनी के साथ हैं, तो वी रिप्रेजेंट the mission, the vision, the values, the ethics, and everything that the company talks about.
True.
So mental harassment has to be dealt with. There's no choice and no double words in that. It has to be looked at, but it is coming under the HR system. If it is something where you have the sexual element in it, it comes under sexual harassment. And rights in their proposition are very clearly defined. But what law lacks here is implementation of the team. India
Okay.
has to be more stricter and more vigilant in every person listening and following whatever we say. It cannot be a choice. It is a must and it
Okay.
has to be a priority. Okay, so
Okay.
that is what we want to say here.
Okay. Fine. Another question. You've been a PoSH trainer. So, what is your experience with how the this policy of PoSH can help in ensuring the safety and also safeguarding the human right as well as keeping the environment of the organization very smooth and easy. Also, how it, what were your challenges or how it can be implemented into the company's policy as per your experience.
See, we always say systems develop processes, processes develop you, your better unit. Okay. So if I have to use any word, it always says that what you keep doing in one way, you'll continue doing in that way. Right? But if you want something else and if you want a system, if you want to describe your process, you have to define it. By describing, you're defining it. By defining, you're making it simpler for everybody to follow.
Okay.
And we've had various histories as vast warning. We've seen companies going down if they don't have a proper protocol, if they don't have a proper system in terms of marketing or strategy. We can't keep saying that we are always on the top, right?
True.
Now the question is policy. Just by creating one policy, do you think you're safe? आज मैंने एक डॉक्यूमेंट बना दिया कि भाई आपको ये फॉलो करना है, आप सुबह के 9 बजे आना, शाम के 6 बजे आना. Are you following that? No. All companies have policies, whether it is PoSH policy or any other policy. Are we following it? It is a belief system that has to be inside, a mindset that has to be set inside that I will follow the system. Second, we follow something by what do you call this? देखिए दिखाइए हम करते हैं ना कि अगर नीरव जी ने फॉलो किया तो मैं भी फॉलो करूँ. अगर जसवंत जी ने फॉलो किया मैं भी फॉलो करूंगा. अगर विकास जी ने फॉलो किया मैं भी फॉलो करूंगा. But if there is one way, one person who walks the other side, everybody will start questioning because that's how it is with every action you have a reaction. Science has always taught us that, right? So अगर एक पॉलिसी बनाने से आप सेफ हो जाते हो तो आज सारे सिस्टम सेफ होते हैं. We would not have even one abuse or one harassment case. And when you're creating policies, you can't just have a copy paste. When you're creating a policy, you have to have everything that is closely knit with the environment and what the company is working towards. So that has to be created well and everybody has to read, consent, agree, follow. So I always say it's read, agree, consent, follow. RACF. If you don't do that, then creating any document is not of any value.
Exactly. One more question, Raina ji, कि when you're dealing with harassment or discrimination cases into the corporate, because I know that you are dealing more with the corporates or to company startups also. So when we are dealing with such cases of harassment and discrimination, how you try to make the balance that both the rights of the accused as well as the victim has been balanced. दोनों को विक्टिम को ऐसा नहीं लगे कि सिर्फ मेरे बारे में बोला जा रहा है या ऐसा ना लगे सिर्फ मेरे बारे में बोला जा रहा है. How you balance it? Because you being a trainer, being a consultant, you have to balance both the side. तो आप वहाँ कैसे इस चीज को डील करते हो?
So beautiful question. Very nice question, Nirav ji. So for all the men and all the women who are listening to us today, it is important that when a man or a woman, either parties come to the IC committee or either parties walk to the HR and ask, am I safe? They have come with a lot of trust of coming and confiding in you. And this is the same case when a student comes up to a counselor or a psychologist or anybody. They have taken a lot of courage to come up and walk up and talk about their situation. So entire system has to make sense to them first. One, I think calming them down, cooling them down and telling them that, you know, whether you are a man or woman, first you will be supported. Second, even though the act says it is PoSH has been developed on 9th December 2013 and it was brought into effect since then. So from then onwards, we have had so many different cases and we have to be very careful. That person, whether man or woman, it is still humanity, right? We still have to work towards understanding how we are going to create a system for both equal genders. So, what we say is generally one, we don't create a PoSH policy, we create a gender neutral policy. Two, when somebody is walking up to you, make them understand here. We will continue. So, we have to give the rights of the respondent, the rights
Okay.
of the aggrieved. So the woman has her own rights, the man has his own rights. That whether they have been abused or harassment and whether they are not being supported by the IC committee, they can still go out to the police, to the law courts, to the High Court, to the Supreme Court, and to any other lower courts and say that they have been undergoing harassment. Second,
Okay.
where if the person asks, can I get a statement of copy of what the person, the woman or the man has said? You must give them with complete
Okay.
transparency during the operations of investigation or mediation, because if you do not provide them the
Okay.
statement, they will not know what to defend.
Hmm.
And whether
Okay.
what has been made as an allegation is truly an allegation or is it just a malicious complaint. So malicious intent,
Okay.
unclarity of facts, what exactly has spoken, what was the situation. काफी बार ऐसे होता है कि the man just gets up and says, hey, I didn't even know what happened to me. How did it happen? मतलब कल तक तो बात कर रही थी लेडी, आज सडनली उठ के उन्होंने बोला है कि आई एम अब्यूसिंग हर.
बरोबर.
So it
ऐसा
is
होता
very
है.
strange for them because it's like yesterday only you spoke to me, today morning she spoke, she was quite okay. The next minute, because of the environment, because of the situation, because of the background and many other, the context, the content, things change. And something which is unwantedly spoken by either parties is affected. So it is
True.
never about whether she's been good and friendly to you today, she will be the same tomorrow. It is always about whether there has been any.
आई थिंक मेरा नेट कनेक्शन थोड़ा लूज हो गया है. Am I audible? Hello. मुझे लगता है यहाँ पे नेट कनेक्शन थोड़ा लूज हो गया है. जस्ट होल्ड ऑन. मुझे लगता है नेट कनेक्शन लूज होने के कारण आई थिंक राइना लेफ्ट इट. ऑल्सो मैं देख रहा हूँ. एक मिनट. जस्ट होल्ड ऑन. हाय कृष्णा. हाय उर्वशी. तो मुझे लगता है मेरा नेट कनेक्शन यहाँ थोड़ा स्लो है, जिसके कारण डिस्कनेक्शन हुआ था. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू रिकनेक्ट विद द स्पीकर. जस्ट होल्ड ऑन. अगर आपके कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं, मीन्स यहाँ थोड़ा नेट कनेक्शन स्लो होने के कारण बारंबार अप्स एंड डाउन आ रहे थे. आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट. ठीक है. स्पेशली मुझे लगता है मेरी तरफ से यहाँ थोड़ा कनेक्शन थोड़ा लूज हो रहा था. ओके. Hi, Rana, can you just once again come down with the invite? I'm just sending you. आपको मैंने वापस Rana ये एक मिनट। तो है ना, आपको मिल रहा है इनविटेशन? मैंने आपको सेंड किया है। So meanwhile, the Rana is coming back. Any questions are there on this topic, because it is very sensitive topic also, the past and the human rights. अगर आपके कुछ questions हो तो आप यहाँ पे वापस डाल सकते हो. Whenever the Rana will come down, maybe in a few minutes, she will answer those questions also. Let's take the questions from the audience itself. Okay, instead of taking from my own side, क्योंकि मेरे तो क्वेश्चन हमेशा ज़्यादा ही रहते हैं. ठीक है, तो एक मिनट में वापस ट्राई करता हूँ. हाँ, या थैंक्स नाइना. एक्चुअली नेट कनेक्शन मेरे यहाँ लूज है, जिसके कारण
No
बार
problem,
बार
no
फ्लक्चुएट
problem,
हो रहा
Nirav
है.
ji.
या
Yeah, yeah.
सो विदाउट वेस्टिंग द टाइम रहना, मैं एक और क्वेश्चन पे जा रहा हूँ. ठीक है, कि आपको ऐसा कोई लगता है कोई स्पेसिफिक ह्यूमन राइट्स है जिस पर ध्यान देना चाहिए, या जिस पर अभी तक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने ध्यान नहीं दिया है? इट कैन बी
Okay.
एनी ह्यूमन राइट्स, इट नॉट पर्टेनिंग ओनली टू द पॉस ऑल्सो. कोई एनी स्पेसिफिक ह्यूमन राइट जो फील यहाँ पर कभी लोगों का ध्यान गया, नाइदर कंपनी का, नाइदर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का, नॉट द सेंट्रल और एनी अदर अथॉरिटीज?
Okay, so मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगी कि कौन से राइट पे उनकी ध्यान नहीं गई है, मैं ये बोलूंगी कि कौन से राइट पे हम और आप काम कर सकते हैं. सो वी हैव योर
ओके.
अरुण, हितेश, मालिनी, वी हैव शीतल जी, वी हैव Riti, we have Neeta ji, we have a lot of people. See, one is general rights like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of privacy. One is freedom of privacy. Okay, when I was just talking about online space,
या.
many a times we are in online space now, and most of us are always online. Whether we are going live, whether we are working with clients, whether we are online on meets, whether we have proposals, when you are meeting clients, whether we're using Zoom, Google Meet, or any of the other apps. And being AI most top today, time and again, I keep saying that PoSH, POXO, abuse, harassment, pornography, any other sexually colored remarks, always was the privacy of a person if not been done well. Against political rights, unless we don't know our legal rights, a lot of women come up to me and say, do I have a pregnancy right? Do I have a right to leave early? Do I not, can I not party after such times? Why is my boss being so forceful that even though my 9 to 5 hours are there, why does he tell me to stay till 7? Third is right to education. Even though we say India is an educated and forthcoming country, even though we are not underprivileged, we are now a more growing uh, fraternity. Education is still not there completely. And when I say education, I don't mean ABC or passing your 10th or 12th. I mean understanding either a GST or an IT returns or a financial education, or how does your business happen, what are the MSME policies, what is the rights, what is the duties as an employer, what can you walk up as employee employer and talk to them, what is that you right, the freedom of how you move, freedom of movement. Freedom of movement doesn't mean freedom of moving from one city to another. Freedom of movement means freedom of understanding how do you traverse in your personal and professional spaces, including moving around with the people that you are dealing with. Freedom of social security, right of social security. Other countries have something like social security system. We don't have a social security system, but we have a government system where we are linked through Aadhaar and PAN and other important cards. Now, if we are not going to follow the new age India that has been brought up by our Shri Modi ji, where he says demonetization is important, we using UPI apps, we using payment gateways, we using vigilance systems that are going to avoid any kind of abuse, harassment, or attacks that in frauds, then we ourselves are not helping or learning our rights, we are impinging our rights. Okay, so right to education, right to social security, right to movement, civil and political rights, freedom of association. People say women don't support women. That is crap. I say people don't support people. Humanity doesn't support humanity. It's not about man or woman. Never start segregating women as women, man as man, women entrepreneurs, womenpreneurs. I think entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. When we talk about association, we must be thinking about association with a varied kind of groups,
True.
varied kind of sexes and genders, because we are coming for the next freedom, that is freedom of discrimination. So
ये सबसे ज्यादा हो रहा है.
your freedom of discrimination will be connected with abuse and harassment. Have the rights that are being indicated. So here we have to understand that with everything that we do, we also have to ensure that rights, freedom, education all go through the same aspects, right? Freedom from slavery and all that is there in only in our downtrodden areas, but some of the rights is what I have brought up for your understanding, for you to know that everything is connected, nothing goes one hand in hand. So
Exactly.
I'm sure even our government systems and our bodies know this. They're also trying, but they cannot try alone for a population of more than 1.5 billion crore or 1.5 billion that we're looking at. So we have to do this together, whether we are talking about movement, collaboration, rights, speech, education, privacy. If we are not going to get them informed that we have been attacked, not going to inform that there is frauds happening, if you're not going to inform who is the person doing it, then we are not doing the right things of making people aware. And then we keep on saying one line, awareness is the key. If it's PoSH, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, we say cyber harassment, cyber abuse, we say awareness is the key. Awareness ये होता है कि जब भी यहाँ पे 50 लोग अगर बैठे हैं तो वो 50 लोग अपने फैमिलीज को, अपने बच्चों को, अपने सोसाइटी को, अपने फ्रेंड्स को, अपने स्कूल को, अपने कॉलेज को जाके बताएं कि ये सब चीजें उनको सुनी, डू यू नो, एंड मेक देम so aware. That becomes the power of association, the power of creating more and more opportunities for everybody to join towards the movement of these rights and freedom.
True. Raina, one more thing. As you told, the education player a pivotal role into creating the awareness. So, how we can use this human right education and post education system into the school curriculum, into colleges or into the corporate training also. क्योंकि मैं देख रहा हूँ सब जगह पे communication, leadership, बॉडी लैंग्वेज, वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन, नॉन वर्बल, सब टॉपिक पे लोग बात करते हैं आज. लेकिन व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द पॉस, आई अप्रूव द कॉर्पोरेट्स आल्सो. ठीक है, मेरा तो ग्राफोलॉजी और ये सब में है, but even it's also contain, I don't know whether very less people know, even the graphology also connect, we are able to understand to the handwriting the person is suffering from the sexual abuse. तो ये जब हम बात करते हैं तो रिसेंटली 2 months बैक आई वाज टॉकिंग टू व्यू ऑफ द कॉर्पोरेट, दे बोले नहीं सर आप ये सब बोल दोगे सेशन में तो बहुत ही इश्यू आ जाएगा, बॉसेस नाराज हो जाएंगे. तो समवेयर दे आर वेरी मच अवेयर, उनको डर लगता है कि ये चीज पे बात ही ना किया जाए. तो कैसे कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनिंग के अंदर या फिर स्कूल के अंदर इसको इंटीग्रेट किया जाना चाहिए? मुझे तो लगता है किया जाना, क्योंकि लोग बात ही नहीं करते, डर लगता है यहाँ पर कहीं ना कहीं तो लोगों को. तो हाउ यू फील कि कैसे इसको हम इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं एजुकेशन सिस्टम के साथ?
मैं अगर आपको बोलूं कि आप अपने बेटे या बेटी को समझाइए कि वो सेफ कैसे रहे, तो आपको कंफर्ट नहीं रहता है, करेक्ट? इफ आई टेल यू टू डू समथिंग व्हिच इज अनकंफर्टेबल, लाइक गेटिंग अप फ्रॉम योर चेयर, yes, true, thank you so much. Around mental health, we have somebody joining us. People are scared because people don't want to face it. Why are we scared of certain things? Because we don't want to face it, because we fear if we do it what could be the repercussions, because we know we have the fear of unknown or the fear of coming out of the comfort zone, because we have always been in that comfort zone. Okay, now one thing is, if you have money and if you have respect, which will you weigh more?
Respect, money तो बनाया जा सकता है, respect बनाया जा सकता है.
It depends. It depends. If you need the money, you will forget the respect and the dignity. Okay, so we have to understand and weigh here as a system, as an entity. I said everything is a top-down approach. So if a school from the top has been given instructions by NEP, which we know, new educational policy, which is incorporated at schools, colleges, institutions. These are there at IGCSE, ICSE, and many other school provisions.
Okay.
They have already incorporated gender equality, gender sensitivity, values, morals, ethics, all these things to be taught in school. But
Okay.
how many of us get up and do trainings on this to ensure that we are doing the right thing to bring up? Because आज का बच्चा शायद अपने माँ बाप का कम सुनेगा लेकिन टीचर और स्कूल का ज्यादा सुनेगा. We know that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
the amount of respect that goes out to the education system is very high. The amount of respect that we give a teacher today, an educator today, a counselor today, somebody who's guiding us in our life is very high. And this three roles is fed into a parent at every degree, at every level, at every stature. The only thing is we have a very personal space that we have no lines of reference at home, and so it is easier for a parent to flow and easier
Exactly.
for a child to break. So when you have a free flowing river, it's difficult to put a barricade to stop the flow, right? So you have a free flowing communication with the child. The communication is of trust. There is no harm in it. But for him to break that barrier, sometimes it becomes also easy because free flow is always easy to break and easy to stop. Free flow is also something that you cannot vigilantly control.
Exactly.
So the first thing that I talk to schools and colleges is please first speak to your children and ensure the communication comes in. Second, because they respect you higher than in consideration to somebody at home, then more and more systems can be created, whether it is in training. See, training could be one intervention, but today with a lot of clay, with a lot of Kahoot, with a lot of other interactive apps that we have, or maybe even a gamification tool. Today we can teach children a lot of areas. For example, even sexual organs. Today we don't talk only about good touch and bad touch. We talk way beyond in terms of what are the sexual organs, how many genders, how many sexes, what are the different kind of people that we have other than male and female in our society. How do they feel? What are their rights? We have transgender rights in comparison to what PoSH and POXO are otherwise. Are Jammu and Kashmir and other areas falling in the jurisdiction of India? And freedom of speech, dignity, we also have to talk about freedom of fear, freedom of comfort zone, freedom of not beating a child. No child should be beaten, insulted, shouted, screamed at. These are things that teachers, principals, students, trustees, counselors, psychologists, everybody together have to work as a team, including trainers and other service providers that are going into an ecosystem. So I say it is a collective approach. It is not something that we do today uh, and we go. It is always about uh, creating system other than policies and awareness programs. The next step is to what can I do better in this setup for understanding. Okay.
Okay. Right now, since you are into the post training also, I'm taking lots of it, but this is very important. Like, can you share a few success story of your being a post trainer? How you help the people, and any success story which helped by doing the training? Many of the faces has been changed into the smiling faces due to your entering as a consultant or as a post trainer. कुछ ऐसी सक्सेस स्टोरी आप अगर शेयर करना चाहोगे हमारे ऑडियंस के साथ?
See, as a legal person, we don't share any names, but I will
No,
tell
no.
you 3 or 4 instances that we've come across that people might find it very useful. One is when we go and do awareness sessions in schools, and we have like students varying from 200 to 500 students in front of us. The most important thing is to connect with the crowd and to be one among them. It is not about just telling them about law because law is there all across. What they need to know is if something happens, how to keep safe, where to go, who to go to, what is the next step, how do I keep myself safe and not make it like a newspaper to everybody to know, because these are things which are to be kept confidential and not to be let out. But to whom do I speak in confidence where they can provide support? Now, we do say that there are people who are psychologists, counselors also who are trained in POSH or POXO to support children. Because both POSH and POXO becomes applicable. You have teachers, students, parents, and many other people who are also working with a school or an institution or an entity. So they fall under the PoSH, and POXO is everything for 0 to 18 years of age.
Okay.
Okay, so all children fall under that. Now, when you are, there was this situation that when we did a session for about a group of 250, 300 students in a school, one of the child comes up and says what he undergoes when he travels.
Okay.
And there is a possibility that a student coming from a very affluent background takes over a student who's not from a very well-to-do background. He might be from a very small house. So this girl who was from a very affluent background used to take advantage of this boy who was having a setup where his father and mother both are from the lower class, okay, where they are from the maids and the auto drivers and people who serve us on the culture society. So he just comes up and reiterates a situation where he has been misused every time they travel through a public transport. And he was clueless to go who to go to because in spite of having a women development cell, WDC, which is existing in all colleges today and schools today, and not comfortable with going to a counselor or psychologist that they had because he felt that that person would also go and confide to a teacher or a head HOD or a principal, and they do not understand his emotions. That was his statement. This was just something he spoke of, not that anyone coming from that profession would not understand. But here is a little heads up for all of us who are specialists. If we have never had sessions on a one-to-one conversation, or we've never had sessions where we're taking an effort to keep on reiterating how we can help you. So even a counselor, psychologist, or a person who's working in a school should keep on having some kind of interventions at school within, so that they keep on telling students that, hey, I'm there for you. Hey, I am just a call away, just a step away. If you have anything, come during your recess, come during your breaks. Because children forget things very fast and they remember things which are very, very strong on their mind. But they don't know who to go to because trust is a very big issue.
Exactly.
So if you have to have that trust with them, you have to keep on supporting them, helping them, providing them the space of growing, providing them the space where they can feel safe. So time and again, if they can iterate, I'm sure they will walk up to them and provide support. So this guy did not feel he could confide, and he came all the way after the session saying that there was something during the session as examples of how it happens and what it happens and the case studies that we shared, that he felt that he could share it with me. And even during the discussion of a 1 hour, he did not want the HOD or the parents or the school principal or anybody to know, because the fear was, being a boy, how would I be taken? Being a boy, maybe I'm the other sector of the or sex of the society, so I may not be taken in the right way because ऐसे बोलते हैं ना कि लड़का है तो लड़के ने ही कुछ किया होगा, लड़की नहीं कर सकती, right? It is always as a mindset that we have brought up during the earlier part of our days, that ladki is vulnerable and weak, and they would be always be hampered by a man, and a man cannot be weak or a boy cannot be weak. There is nothing to do with expressing emotions, being yourself, expressing anxiety, expressing pain, expressing being overtaken by either a woman, to do with any sex or gender. If the boy has been hampered by the power position play is what I call. If they have been hampered by that, it's only that he needs to walk up and feel, I am human, I can confide in somebody who's trustworthy. And that's what we believe at Right to Guys, that we should be working towards creating these kind of ecosystem partners, collaborators, bringing in the freedom of right, freedom of speech, freedom of collaboration, freedom of dignity, rights, moral values, social security. Again, I said privacy. Privacy is not only given to one gender or one sexual connotation. Privacy is to be given to all. So whether you are a 5-year-old or a 50-year-old, you still need privacy. So rights, freedom, and all the aspects that we have spoken today, whether it comes into PoSH or POXO or cyber or any of our legal human rights, I urge all of you to pick up this small book of mine, We All Have Rights, which has just come out We unveiled it and launched it at the House of Parliament at Thailand at the UN delegation conference. And this is something that everybody should handhold and pick it up.
Okay.
It is not meant to be a book that you just need to buy and keep on your shelf. It is meant to read and understand that these rights, these freedom that is given to you, please utilize it. And that can be only done when you have the awareness of it. So do reach out to Nirav ji and let him know, and he will give you my coordinates to book the aspects around it.
Yeah. You also give me the link, Raina, if it is there on Amazon or Kindle, if you have been
Yeah,
kept over there.
it's still not uploaded, but it will soon be uploaded, and surely we will work towards it. I will send you the link from where they can book a pre-book a copy, and yes.
Okay.
So
So
we
I
have
will put it down.
Pratima ji
Yeah.
who's saying that she would like to have it. So yes.
Yeah. So definitely, Raina. So I think we have covered all the major questions, and there are so many questions
Yes.
still pop up into my mind, but there are so many questions, and the time is very limited. And I respect
Yes,
your
yes.
as well as my
We'll
time.
surely connect for another session.
Yeah.
Thank you for each one of you. Gratitude to you, Nirav ji,
And thanks.
for all the time and the efforts you've taken and brought in so much awareness through this session. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that we have come together, and more of these sessions would happen. Do reach out to Nirav ji if you need any more, and I'm sure collaborations are on the way for all
Yeah.
the people who have viewed us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you. Thank you, Raina ji. Thank you.